Alright, I'm back with another Destiny 2 video, and this time it is for the last TWAB before the season launch, and it is Wednesday because tomorrow's Thanksgiving, and then the next season launches on Tuesday, which that kind of snuck up pretty fast. This is supposed to be a very long TWAB because they're covering a lot of different things, and we will see what is the most relevant stuff here because, I don't know, I don't want this to be like half an hour. I don't know if anyone wants to hear that. Alright, they are starting with their Witcher collaboration. I wrote about this today because a good amount of people are not super happy with it. Not necessarily, I think everyone says the armor looks pretty cool, except for I don't know what's going on with the Hunter. That's not like a real Witcher set. But, all the stuff going on, people are either like, I don't know, I don't feel like spending money on Bungie right now, given all this stuff. Or, they just think it's the wrong time to be showing off new Eververse items that are more expensive than normal and cannot be earned with Bright Dust, almost certainly, but whatever. Okay, it's high time we show you the upcoming season's artifact perks so you can start thinking about new builds. We are focusing on 3 elements: Solar, Strand, and Stasis. I think they've done Strand to some extent every season. There's also a focus on rocket launchers, some new and very strong perks around Ignition and Shatter, and even some beloved perks making a comeback. All in all, the Queen's Foil Sensor allows for several outstanding combinations. Alright, so that is the Queen's Foil Sensor. I assume these are Ahamkara teeth and maybe Ahamkara bone. Okay, so we have anti-barrier sidearm. Everybody loves using sidearms in high-end content. Unstoppable hand cannon, unstoppable bow, overload auto rifles, overload pulse rifles. All right, so that is the lineup here, and that is not super out of the ordinary. And then usually there's like a special weapon or something over here. Overload rocket launchers. I guess that's it. Okay. We'll see how that goes, I guess. Can't wait to use overload rocket launchers against teleporting minotaurs and captains. That sounds amazing. Alright, so we have Flame, Fiber, and Freeze combines the Solar Strand and Solar Stasis Siphon into one. Kindling Trigger. Radiant causes solar weapons to apply Scorch to unscorched combatants. Ooh, that's good. Have we had this before? Because, you can be always Radiant in, like, some builds, especially, like, Hunter. Or Solar Titan with a Throw Hammer. So that's cool. I like that. Blast Radius. Rapid final blows with rocket launchers and grenade launchers grant armor charge, because everyone knows we love doing rapid final blows with rocket launchers. Grenade launchers, a little different because we have different kinds of grenade launchers, not necessarily just heavy. Are we getting a grenade launcher buff here? That would be something. I don't think we are because I think they already did the weapon things. Okay, origin traits, these exist. Sundering, I think that's the new one. From Whence You Came, increases ability damage to Taken and Scorn combatants. Okay, so I guess the enemies this time around are Taken and Scorn, which is not unusual because Season of the Lost had a bunch of Taken and Scorn combatants in the Dreaming City. Alright. Flint Striker, Rapid Solar Weapons, Precision Hits, and Rapid Solar Weapon Final Blows grant Radiant. Oh, well, that goes with that, I guess. So that'll be really strong. Still not seeing any Stasis things. Alright, here's one. Radiant, deal increased weapon damage to combatants affected by Strand and Stasis debuffs. So, okay, so you need to be Radiant with solar things to combine with Stasis debuffs. Yeah, you could do that. Sure, because, your middle weapon can be solar and your top weapon can be Stasis, so that's a little odd, but okay. Heart of the Flame, casting your solar super grants nearby allies radiance and increases damage of your super for each nearby ally. Okay, so a lot of radiant things. Everything needs to be radiant. So far, very, very strong focus on solar. Alright, let's see. Alright, Origin Perk Specialization 2, blah blah blah, Dragon's Vengeance. I think that's new. Wished into Being, that has to be new. When your super is nearly fully charged, ability final blows spawn orbs of power. Wearing Season of the Witch armor decreases super amount threshold. Oh, that's interesting. And I guess a reason to wear different armor than the perfect sets you already have. I don't know. It depends how much it decreases it. If it's just a little, it's probably not that much, but we don't really know yet. Okay, picking up an orb of power grants strand weapons unraveling rounds. That is good. Pillar of Ice. Oh, okay, we have just the stasis perk here. Killing an encased combatant spawns stasis crystals. Okay, everyone has complained that like we need more ways to spawn stasis crystals that aren't like an aspect, so I guess we're getting that in a mod here. I think we're getting some stasis ability changes lower than this, but we'll see. Revitalizing Blast, causing damage with a solar ability, weakens champions and bosses for a short duration. That's good. Overload rocket launchers, yeah, that's going to be super fun. Dragon's Bite, again, this is a new one probably. Breaking a combatant's shield with a strand or stasis weapon has a chance to suspend or freeze that combatant. Wearing Season of the Wish armor increases that chance. I really feel like they're reaching for ways to make armor more relevant than it is, but I guess we'll see. It would be nice to have some percents in here to know exactly what's going on. Maybe the Wish armor itself will have that. But that's another stasis thing. It would be kind of cool to freeze enemies if you break their shield. Obviously not every time, but depending on what chance that is. Horde Shuttle, damaging unraveled targets with a weapon, occasionally spawns a Threadling. All right, that'll go great with my Warlock Threadling build that I've been using pretty much all season. Shattering encased targets and stasis crystals deals increased damage. Shattering a stasis crystal. Oh, wait, I was thinking of stasis shards. These are stasis crystals. Okay, well, that's something. That'll be, I don't know, that could be good. Encased combatant, is that means frozen, right? I think. And then that spawns a stasis crystal near them, I think. Okay. Stasis crystals deals increased damage. Shattering a stasis crystal releases shards of ice that damage and slow targets. All right, cool. Well, Radiant, solar precision final blows cause combatants to ignite. Love so much Radiant things. Like, all right. Solo operative. Yeah, only a member of your fire team. Increased damage, so great for solo dungeon runs. This is a way to get past the health of the dungeon bosses that everyone hates. Argent Ordnance. This is a good old-fashioned one. Wasn't this a normal mod that they deleted? I think. So it gives you armor charge and damage and reload speed until you stow or reload your rocket launcher. Okay, so, there are some stasis things in here. There are way more solar things, and those seem really good. They're all based around Radiant, which is really not a tough buff to get. And yeah, solar seems really good because you can scorch and ignite really everything. That is kind of really good. So I am assuming that was probably going to be better than the stasis build. We will see if stasis gets some like serious buffs here. I'm probably going to use stasis just for friggin' change of pace at this point, because like Lord knows when I've last used stasis in any meaningful capacity. And maybe we'll get some new exotics that are stasis based. All right, ability changes. So they want to ensure that abilities, particularly those in longer cooldown tiers, are meeting intended cost output ratio, reducing cases of player survivability that exceed our power bar. I don't quite know what that means, but that sounds like nerfs. Making first steps at Well of Radiance and Ward of Dawn tuning. So Well is getting nerfed, which I think we knew. Taking a tuning pass on stasis abilities. More to come in the future. All right, so that is hopefully a bunch of buffs. Right, so let's get started. This is really long. Jeez. Okay. We've laid out a number of times in previous posts, but it's worth repeating. We believe that powerful abilities need to come at a meaningful cost to the players to force difficult decisions about what fits best in their build. To put it plainly, we're not hitting that goal. There are many build crafting avenues that grant flat chunks of ability energy and ignore ability cooldown tiers. This gives them extremely inconsistent value depending on what grenade, melee, or class ability you have equipped. A perk that grants 10% grenade energy on activation in a cooldown reduction of 6.4 seconds to Firebolt Grenade, but results in a cooldown reduction of 15.2 seconds for Lightning Grenade. When players stack these together, Grenade, Kickstart, Iteration, Absolutist, Demolitionist, Chunk Energy Fragment, it results in long cooldown abilities having uptime that is dramatically higher than what we intend for their potency level. Oh Christ, we're doing a bunch of grenade nerfs. God, okay. With Season of the Wish, you're taking the first step at addressing that problem. Yes. Too many grenades. Just Okay, is this a PvP thing? I don't... Okay. The base passive cooldown tiers for abilities will also influence the amount of chunk energy they receive from perks. For fastest charging abilities, things are not changing, but as we progress through the passive cooldown tiers into the slower charging abilities, that immediate burst of energy will be reduced to a floor of 50% of base for our slowest charging grenade and class abilities, and 60% for our slowest charging melee abilities. This sounds like a PvP thing, I think. Does Stasis still have those insanely long grenade cooldowns, or did they fix that? I can't remember. Here's that same example under the new system. A perk that grants a base value of 10% grenade energy on activation results in a cooldown reduction of 6.4 seconds for Firebolt and a cooldown reduction of 7.6 seconds for Lightning Grenade. Awesome. With Season of the Wish, we are only implementing this change for grenade, melee, and class abilities. Perks that add super energy are unchanged. We're also excluding any perk that either intentionally grants a full refund, like Knock 'em Down, or targets only a specific single ability like Shinobu's Vow. These will still work identically to their behavior in the live game. In our playtesting, this results in more of the intended variance between high and low uptime abilities, and an opportunity cost that more closely matches potency, but we don't expect or desire that anyone's build is going to be made obsolete overnight by this change. We're going to keep iterating on this new system going forward, so expect future updates as we see how it plays out alongside all of you. Okay, well, I don't know. You PvP people can tell me if this is like something for that. I don't think this was a huge problem in PvE, from what I can tell, but alright. As our roster of player-elected difficulties activities has expanded in recent years, we've shifted the sandbox to enable more of our often risky gameplay loops to feel effective against increasingly difficult lineups of combatants. This can be seen in the addition of more defense or support-focused tools, including the standardization of overshields, expanded access to healing through restoration and cure, and the developments of keywords like woven mail. However, we still need our aspirational content to remain challenging. We're currently in a position where applying combat pressure to a well-built crafted player is extremely difficult, which doesn't leave our activities teams with many options for tuning difficulty while still having things feel fair across a broad spectrum of player types. In short, player survivability at the top end is too high, a problem we've touched on in the past, and we need to find a better balance between the two extremes of enabling players to heedlessly dive into the fray or making it feel like long-range ship damage is the only option to clear an encounter. To that end, we're making an initial pass at tuning some of our top-end outliers, but we anticipate this will be a process that takes place over many releases so we can ensure things are trending in a healthy way. For the first pass, we're targeting a number of subclass keywords we believe strongly contribute to excessive survivability, woven mail, restoration, and devour. With 7.2.0, we took a small stab at woven mail's PvE reduction, but in 7.3, we're reducing it a further 10%. This is a relatively small change. We want to evaluate it alongside some changes to Banner of War. Of course, that's being nerfed. Before taking any larger swings. So, reduced against PvE combatants, 55 to 45. What was it before? Was it 60 or 65? Restoration's heal rate is being reduced in both PvE and PvP. Similar to the Woven Mail case, we want to see how this feels sitting alongside some changes to Throwing Hammer and Soul Invictus further down. 40 HP a second in PvE, and 20 in PvP, down to 35 and 17.5. Okay. At times 2, 65 in PvE, 32.5 in PvP, 50 down to 50 in PvE, 25 in PvP. Last up is Devour, whose potency is largely due to ease of use of the Echo of Starvation fragment, which was initially developed when there were fewer orbs of power being generated. We've made a targeted change to Devour that excludes Voidwalkers, reducing its healing amount from 200 to 100 HP unless Feed the Void is equipped. For our Voidwalkers out there, we're also increasing the amount of grenade energy that Devour grants with Feed the Void to offset some of the chunk energy changes detailed above. Healing amounts, both on activation when refreshed, reduced from a full heal to 100 HP unless you have Feed the Void. Now refills both health and shield more smoothly rather than adding health to each section separately. Increased grenade energy regeneration when Devour's active. Now improves the strength of Devour's heal when equipped. This is an ongoing process, so please continue to give feedback on how things are feeling. So we are 2 for 2 in nerf sections. Definitely think the community is going to be jazzed about that, given the current context of everything. Okay, what's this one? In 3.4.0, we made the decision to remove the capability for shoulder charge abilities to one-shot enemy players. This was part of an ongoing effort to make sure any one-shot ability in the game comes with significant risk or cost. whether that's significant wind-up time, Thunderclap or Consecration, aim skill, Flux Grenade, or a specific build crafting choice, Peregrine Greaves. We still believe this is the right call, and we want to maintain the intended level of risk for using powerful melee abilities against players. Players are currently able to circumvent this change by sliding, firing their weapon, and still being able to initiate a shoulder charge or slide melee. This results in effective one-shot kill that is extremely difficult to track or understand unless you're on if you're on the receiving end. Starting in Season of the Wish, firing your weapon while sliding will now prevent the activation of sprint or slide activated melees. We originally intended for this change to be isolated to shoulder activities, but in our initial playtesting, we quickly realized that the shoulder charge was easily replaced with a Tempest Strike, Lightning Surge, or other slide melees, so we've included them in the change as well. And no doubt this affects PvE, so you will not be able to fire your weapon, slide, and use your charge melee. Okay, so this affects all of these, you know what they are at this point. Alongside, we've increased the potency of Tempest Strike, which was left behind given synergy between Flow State and Lethal Current, up from 110 to 125. Rework tracking to be more consistent, improve consistency while traveling. 3 out of 3 for nerf sections. Good stuff. And again, nothing that says this doesn't apply to PvE, which they don't separate things like this usually. This is a nerf section again, isn't it? Yep. Okay. Get all the bad news out first, I guess. I mean, some of this may be good PvP news, but like, God, I am so sick of losing PvE stuff to PvP people. Like, good lord. Okay. With Season of the Wish, we released Banner of War, which has quickly jumped to the top of the aspect list for our Titan players because it's really fun and awesome. Gonna leave that part out. Okay, it's currently equipped nearly 20% of all Titan playtime for Season of the Witch PvE activities, rivaled only by Into the Fray at 15% playtime, which is Banner's natural pairing. We're very happy with the way Banner of War has supported the Berserker class fantasy and don't want to reduce its ability to do so at maximum charge. However, it's too easy to build at maximum charge very quickly with a sufficient density of combatants, which is really all of them now, especially with the help of your teammates. With Season of the Wish, we're making a change to slow down charge progression, increasing the number of defeats to require to level the banner each tier. As part of making this change, we're also slightly increasing the timer extension granted by each enemy to compensate. So increased it by double. Okay. Amazing. Increase the amount of time added per enemy defeat at each level to compensate. These values vary depending on the type of target defeated. Fixed an issue or unpowered swords are being granted a damage boost by Banner of War. Okay. Bonk Hammer. Prior to Solar 3.0, Throwing Hammer was in the code of the Devastator subclass tree, which didn't have much in the way of survivability tools other than picking up the hammer after a hit. That meant players needed to be significantly more careful in their play and generally weren't as capable of standing in a champion's or boss's face with impunity when they chucked a hammer at its torso over and over again. While this makes for a fun visual, we don't believe this behavior is healthy for the game. So alongside the changes to Restoration, we are fundamentally looking at how Throwing Hammer functions. We started off this section talking about relationship between potency and uptime, and how the rules of the sandbox begin to break down when these don't match up for a given ability. Throwing Hammer isn't currently matching up. We don't want to remove the full energy refund on pickup because that would not work at all. But we do want to add some downtime between throws to discourage the stand next to the boss and bonk them behavior. To that end, picking up a Throwing Hammer will now return its energy of a short duration rather than instantly. Oh no, that sucks. Oh my god. I hate it. Okay, we're also increasing the projectile's tracking strength so that players who choose to chuck the hammer at longer ranges are more consistently rewarded for taking that risk. Okay, nice. When picked up, now returns melee energy over 1.4 seconds rather than instantly. I mean, that sounds short, but like compared to what it was, that's not great. I don't know. I don't like that. Increase projectile tracking strength by 20%. Part of this equation is also Sol Invictus, which offers reliable safe havens and sunspots. Similar to our Throwing Hammer changes, we don't want to discourage players who want to move from position to position, advancing through the combat space, but we do want to make sure players who bunker in dangerous position aren't able to do so for too long. Reduce maximum sunspot duration from 20 to 12 seconds. This duration is only ever reached when the player is standing inside the sunspot. Sunspot duration without the owner standing inside it remains unchanged at 5 seconds. 5 for 5 in nerf sections as we keep going. This might be the last one because Stasis is next. All right, with 340, we made a change to our super cooldowns, placing Well and Ward in the fastest recharging tier. This decision was based on their kill potential versus supers that deal burst damage or allow you to roam the field for potential team wipes. The game has changed significantly since then, and with changes to Trials, Dominion as the game mode with shorter round times in general, we wanted to reevaluate their placement. Season of the Wish, we're increasing their base cooldown times by 1 tier, matching the passive cooldowns of some of our burst supers like Blade Barrage or Chaos Reach. Our goal for Well and Ward is to have stronger competition in round-based modes, giving other players tools to effectively deal with them under pressure like a mode that Dominion has. So this, of course, also applies to PvE because we're up too often in PvP. So fun. Okay. On a longer timeline, we're evaluating Well and Ward's place in the sandbox more fundamentally. These two are operating in too similar space, leaving little room for them to breathe on their own. Well offers too much, and its effective invulnerability is not something we believe the sandbox can or should support. Salty Greppo is dancing in the streets right now. We are not making further changes to Well or Ward with Season of the Wish, but we have a suite of future changes to reduce Well's dominance in PvE and push the gameplay space of these two supers further apart. We'll provide more details on that closer to their release. So that was about 5,000 words of nerfs. And now we get to finally to hopefully what are Stasis buffs. The near and slightly farther future of Stasis. A week and a half ago, Stasis turned 3. Oh my god, are they going to change how we get it? Maybe? A lot has happened. We've seen massive changes in the sandbox as we released Light 3.0 subclasses, added Strand, and the overall power bar of the sandbox has shifted, resulting in Stasis feeling like it's been left behind. Yes, it has. We've given Stasis some tuning updates here and there, but we believe it's time to give it a bigger shot in the arm. Alright, I don't think it is changing how you get it. Starting in Season of the Wish and continuing in Final Shape, we're making a number of quality of life changes to improve Stasis's reliability in combat, and we're reevaluating some of our previous tuning changes for Stasis abilities with the goal of bringing them up to the current abilities power bar. Let's start off with Fragment Suite. For this, we focused on our stat bonuses and penalties, removing those that felt unnecessary, tweaking them to make underperforming picks a little more attractive, or shifting them to better suit gameplay of the Fragment. Whisper of Hedrons, I don't have all these memorized as to what these are. No negative 10 strength. Impetus now provides 10 resilience. Shards no longer provides 10 resilience. All right. Hunger, minus 10 mobility and intellect to 20 strength. Cool. I guess no one cares about strength. Bonds remove discipline penalty. So 1 nerf in there, but some buffs. For our hunters, we're making changes targeted at improving the reliability of Withering Blade in all content and Winter's Shroud in PvE. Withering Blade now travels faster, has longer lifetime, bounces an additional time before expiring, and is more consistent in finding a target both before and after a bounce. 10% increase in speed, 10% projectile lifetime, maximum mounts 2 to 3, and better tracking. No damage buffs. Winter's Shroud is getting an update to be more forgiving against PvE combatants with a longer slow duration and increased area of effect. We're also increasing its slow stat count against PvE enemies from 40 to 60, enabling things like 6 Coyote to more easily freeze enemies or for a freeze to occur more quickly after a Duskfield dodge combo. 6 Coyote, yes. Okay, so 40 to 60 slow stacks, duration 4 to 8, detonation size 8 to 9. All right. Okay, we'll see. For Titans, we're walking back a few changes made in hotfix 3111, 3203 to Shiver Strike and Glacial Quake that no longer fit the current sandbox. We've returned the ability to freeze nearby players on cast with Glacial Quake. Yeah, that was such a dumb change. With a reduced radius, making casting it in close quarters significantly safer than its current iteration. For Shiver Strike, we've restored its slow application to players on hit. This was previously removed in a world where collision damage was still lethal to players. Now that targets don't need to be able to air brake with a movement mode or risk being splattered, we're more comfortable giving Shiver Strike a bit more offensive space. I was really hoping for some Shiver Strike buffs in PvE because that is like one of the worst melees in the game. I was hoping for like a big rework there, but sure. Slows players on hits, and it works with melee kickstart. Glacial Quake freezes players on cast, radius reduced by 25%. Implementing a change to how Howl of the Storm's consistency against players because seeing a target touching a stasis crystals created by Howl and not being frozen was a frustrating experience. Fixed an issue where Howl was not consistently freezing targets in contact with the created stasis crystals. All right, we're making a couple of quality of life improvements to Frost Pulse and Penumbral Blast. Yeah, I think Penumbral Blast is my least favorite melee ability in the game. It's one of those two. Shadebinder is a strong pick already, and we don't feel like it needs much of a push, so we're focusing on areas where it can sometimes fail the reliability test. Frost Pulse's area of effect is being increasing in PvE combatants, great, and we've approved its network performance. All right, I don't know what that means. Can significantly increase consistency against fast-moving targets. Oh, I guess that's network performance. Reducing latency between when the ability is activated and when the target is actually frozen. That's good. Freeze detonation in size versus PvE combatants increased from 8 to 8.5. All right, not really too high, but okay. Penumbral Blast is intended to be a skill shot with a high payout, but the change made in Hotfix 3203 to reduce its detonation size when impacting the environment can sometimes feel too inconsistent. We're increasing that by 33% to increase its ease of use. Increase detonation size when impacting environment from 1.5 to 2. Again, I think that needs more help, but it can't because of PvE. Okay. Shadebinders also directly benefit from a tuning change being made to Glacier Grenade. Currently, Bleak Watcher's cooldown is directly tied to the base cooldown of Glacier Grenade, regardless of what grenade you have equipped. With update 730, Glacier Grenade's cooldown is being reduced, which will also translate to a lower Bleak Watcher cooldown. Reduce base cooldown time from 152 to 121. Good. Cooldown penalties for Duskfield and Cold Snap when Bleak Watcher is equipped have also been updated, so their cool times match the new Glacier Grenade cooldown time. Okay, so I think that's better. I think. Okay. While Cold Snap's grenade reliability has improved since our recent passes, there are still instances where it can fail to meet expectations, so we're making further tweaks. Fixed an issue where the Seeker was not consistently created in the direction the projectile was moving after a bounce. Increase arming shape size from 0.9 to 1.4. I don't quite know what that is. Tracking strength now ramps down from full strength to 0 over the course of the grenade's lifetime rather than immediately turning off after the Seeker had reached 0.5s lifetime. Alright. Finally, we're increasing the bonus that special weapons deal to frozen targets by a small amount to help make shattering enemies feel more consistent. Increase special ammo weapon damage versus frozen targets from 5 to 10. These aren't the only Stasis changes we have in the works. We have some long requested changes for a future release to discuss as they're closer. Maybe this is mid-season. A new Stasis keyword we're tentatively calling Frost Armor, aimed at addressing some of the player feedback regarding survivability when running Stasis, particularly when not using Whisper of Rime or Whisper of Chains. Additional tuning changes and reworks to existing Stasis fragments. Additional behavior to harvest aspects. Stay tuned for the next, or for the full list of patch notes, including a few items we didn't mention here. You'll digest feedback as it's coming in, so please keep it coming. Okay, nothing here seems like that crazy. I mean, the stat buffs are good. Some small buffs to this kind of stuff. Most of this seems focused on maybe that was over nerfed for PvP. I don't know. These seem pretty minor, honestly. And I know minor changes can be big in PvE, but like not as much in PvE. I guess if you're doing more Bleak Watchers, that's something. And Glacier Grenades having their cooldown reduced in general is good, but I think this is what people are wanting to see. Stuff like Frost Armor or generating Stasis crystals, but that's not happening. I'm assuming this is a mid-season update. I don't imagine that's all the way to the final shape, especially if final shape gets delayed. So I don't know. Nothing there that's like, oh my god, that sounds amazing. You know, I guess with the artifact mods this time around, that will be somewhat fun, but yeah. All right, so I forgot there's whole armor changes too. God, this is gonna be a really long thing. It's time for another set of exotic armor changes. Once again, we wanted to buff underused exotics with a particular focus this time on broadening the number of viable melee-oriented exotics for all three classes. We also wanted to improve the two least popular Aeon cult sects. God, they're gonna try and make that work forever outside of the heavy ammo one. With the goal that running a team of Aeon would provide more value in high-end PvE play. We also snuck in a few miscellaneous changes we feel improve the armor sandbox. Here are the details broken by class. Note that unless otherwise specified, the following changes leave the rest of these exotics benefits intact. Shards of Galanor. Throwing Knife now grants super energy between 2.5 and 5%, depending on the enemy killed. Okay, that's good additional functionality. Ophidius Spaith. Knife kills now grant a stacking damage bonus 30, 60, 100% for throwing knives. Dodging refreshes the duration. That's fun. I like that. Feedback about stompies indicate that requiring full class ability made movement wearing this exotic feel too variable between its states and disproportionately hurt certain builds. We have removed the requirement of having full dodge energy to activate the benefits. God, they like hate that. The stompies are like their worst enemy. And have reduced the bonus to airborne lateral acceleration the exotic provides to be more in line with its other bonuses: sprint speed, grounded acceleration, airborne vertical acceleration, slide distance, and jump height. In terms of effectiveness, we also added damage resistance while airborne in PvE to make stompies a more desirable option outside the crucible and jumping puzzles. Okay, that's good. We just said all that. Mechanier's trick sleeves. Yes, I love these. One of my favorite builds ever was the dual sidearm build I did like all the way back in Season of Dawn. It was very fun. I don't know how good it was, but it was very fun. Sidearm damage bonus now persists for 5 seconds after your shields begin to recharge. Sidearm kills extend the damage bonus by 3 seconds and completely reload your sidearm from reserves. Damage bonus reduced in PvP to compensate for it lasting longer. It's now 10% down from 35%. All right, well, I don't care about PvP. So, yes, buffs to this. You know, probably we'll see how much I actually use it. But Bombardiers now applies 20 slow stacks to enemy players and 40 to PvE combatants. Okay. Is this for Stasis or is this for everything? I don't know. Triton Vice increased glaive melee damage bonus while surrounded to 100% for both PvE and PvP, up from 30 and 10. That's a lot. That could be good. Celestial precision kills now grant super energy ranging from 1.5 to 4.5 depending on target kills. Okay, that's... I remember when this was so dominant, but now it's, you know, fallen behind a bit for most things. Severance enclosure. Increased size and damage of the explosion. Kills of the exotics. Explosion will now trigger an additional explosion. Oh, that's fun, especially with Bonk Hammer. Peregrine Greaves. You now have to be airborne for a brief time before the exotic effects will apply. Damaging champions, tormentors, or mini bosses with a shoulder charge deals further increased damage and refunds your melee energy. Oh, because you can't kill them. Yeah, okay. Well, that's cool. Worm God's Caress. The Burning Fist exotic has been reworked. It is now a meter that increases with melee kills and finishers and decays over time. The meter is broken into 5 sections, which provide escalating melee and glaive melee damage bonuses. The upper end provides escalating weapon damage bonuses. Interesting. As the meter decays, it passes back through earlier tiers rather than deactivating immediately. The meter decays more quickly, the more full it is. Fusion Grenade Impact now stuns unstoppable champions. Oh, that's fun. I used to love Ashen Wake. There were some really fun like baseball builds you could do with that. Although, wait, yeah, okay. So that'll be fun. This needs an ornament. That's what that needs. Synthoceps. We wanted to bring the generic melee bonus down a bit, more specialized melee exotics to shine in their specific niches. We felt it was safe to bring the Synthocept glaive melee bonus back up a substantial amount. We've also swapped the increased melee lunge range for increased weapon handling and reload speed. Didn't they already do that? Or they already announced it, one of those. I thought they already announced it. Reduce the PvE surrounded melee damage bonus to 165 down from 200. Increase glaive melee bonus to 100 from 50. Precious Scars. Kills with weapons matching your subclass now apply Restoration Tier 1 for 1.5 seconds in PvP and 3 seconds in PvE. Yeah, that's kind of good. I think that's pretty good. Warlock. Ballador's Wraith Weavers. Is this... Which one is this? I don't remember. Okay. Is this the... No, wait. Is this the new one? I don't remember. Okay. When you cast a Frost Pulse Rift, nearby allies gain a Tier 2 Stasis Weapon Surge bonus for 10 seconds in PvE and 5 seconds in PvP, and a 50 HP Overshield. Oh, that's good. I guess you really have to bank on them using Stasis Surge weapons, Stasis weapons. The Stasis damage bonus provided to allies. Oh, this is the one that makes the super better. Okay. Winter's Wrath Shockwave is now the Tier 4 Stasis Surge weapon bonus. When your Winter's Wrath ends, you get the Tier 4 Stasis Surge weapon bonus as well. They love doing that. Apotheosis Veil. Well, there's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Casting your super now grants Cure Tier 3 for you and nearby allies. After your super ends, you now temporarily gain greatly increased melee and grenade regen for 8 seconds. No, that's still not going to be good. Okay, no one's going to use that. Felwinter's Helm. Move the size of the weakening burst and duration of weaken up 1 tier against all targets except finishers against bosses, which retains the max size and duration. Alright. Karnstein. Melee kills now grant Cure Tier 3 and Restoration Tier 1 for 8 seconds. Finishers now grant Cure Tier 3 and Restoration Tier 2 for 8 seconds. Yeah, and this is joining the existing functionality, I think. And Cult, Swift, Safe, and Soul all receive the following changes to their Sect mods. God, they've spent more time freaking reworking Aeon Cult than anything on Earth. This has been reworked to be all about providing your allies significant bonus weapon damage against powerful combatants. The bonus grenade and melee energy has been moved to the special benefit granted to Aeon Cult allies using a different sect. Rapid precision hits provide quicker reload and weapon swap speeds, and the bonus now lasts for 10 seconds, up from 6 seconds. No longer grants bonus melee, grenade, or super energy on stunning a champion or defeating a boss or mini-boss. Instead, stunning a champion or rapid precision hits against champions, elites, or mini-bosses will mark them for your allies. Ooh, mark them. Oh, okay, you deal more damage. You deal 20% more damage to marked targets. When a target is first marked, nearby allies who do not have Sect of Force gain grenade and melee energy. Sect of Insight had a strong role in PvE teams, and we don't want to change that. The one modification we do want to make, changing the Aeon Cult ally bonus to be super energy instead of weapon damage, as we want Sect of Force to be the source of weapon bonuses. Okay. Sect of Vigor had already had a strong team in the supporting role in the Aeon Cult. We wanted to boost its effectiveness by having damage resistance in PvE in addition to its class ability benefits. Our goal is to make Sect of Vigor player shepherds for their team, keeping their allies near to protect them from harm. Now provides damage resistance against combatants when an ally dies or is resurrected, in addition to the existing class ability synergy. When you cast your super, nearby allies no longer gain instant burst of healing or an overshield. Instead, nearby critically wounded allies gain damage resistance from combatants as long as they stay near you. That sounds worse. Nearby Aeon Cult allies do not have the Sect of Vigor role will also recover a class ability energy more quickly. That sounds less good. Okay. Those are the changes planned for exotic armor. As always, let us know how you feel about these. Try them in your favorite activities and keep that precious feedback coming. Armor mod changes. All right. In addition to the exotic changes listed above, we are also adjusting several armor mods. To reiterate what was touched on in gameplay section, the high potential power output of abilities means they need to have proportional uptime and require meaningful and sometimes difficult build crafting choices. Currently, the high watermark for ability uptime is higher than we like. In order for us to hit broader goals of reining in ability energy sources across the sandbox, we need to reduce the amount of energy fed into the energy economy via armor mods. Oh boy, here comes a bunch of nerfs. I'm surprised this wasn't in the section above. Heavy-handed firepower and Reaper. They now have a 10-second cooldown for generating orbs of power. Reaper also requires a kill to be secured within 10 seconds of using your class ability. Melee Kickstart, Grenade Kickstart, and Utility Kickstart now provides between 16 and 45% ability energy and requires a single armor charge to be consumed. Momentum Transfer, Bolstering Detonation, Impact Induction, and Focusing Strike now provide 12, 17, 20% ability energy for 1, 2, 3 stacks respectively, and required a powered melee attack. Outreach and Bomber now provides 12, 17, 20% ability energy for 1, 2, 3 stacks respectively. Outreach, Bomber, and Distribution. Outreach and Bomber now provides 12, 17, Distribution now provides 4, 6, and 7 ability energy. Energy provided is further reduced based on the cooldown of the class ability used, with the shortest cooldowns reducing it by 60%. We believe these changes will help return meaningful choice to both ability usage and the armor charge system, while still allowing armor mod to provide a valuable effect. Ben Affleck face.jpg. Okay. That's cool art. Fireteam Finder, they just published a thing on this. They are doing a beta test on this. There's a public raid stress test, and they are fully launching it in January. It's in, I don't know, they said they could push it back or start it in beta, so they're doing this. I have other thoughts about this, and like, I don't know. It seems like a little, too late, and like it was a ton of work. I don't know. Some people really are looking forward to this, but I guess we'll see. Cutscene Archive. Okay, you can watch those. Bungie details from Savathun's, Bungie store details from Savathun's Spire of Savings, which made me laugh, but people are mad about it because of money. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I think we're pretty much done here. Oh, hey, it's Destiny the Meme. Good job. That's very cool. I didn't see that one. That's really good. All right, we hope the info shared today will help you assemble the most powerful build to face the many challenges that are coming. We can't see what crazy combinations you end up while playing the new season. We wish you all the best. That said, maybe we should avoid wishing so carelessly just for the foreseeable future. You never know who or what might be listening. Wishes are a very powerful type of magic. Last time someone, not pointing fingers, went too far with them, we ended up having a whole city trapped in a temporal loop. So let's cut this outro out now to avoid any problems. See you next week, oh reader mine. Unsigned. Okay. This wasn't great. This was a whole bunch of nerfs. Not too many stasis things here, mostly solar things. And then these stasis changes just do not seem significant in the grand scheme of things. I don't know how much this is going to change stasis use outside of maybe those artifacts. The most interesting stuff is the stuff that does not seem to be happening right now. I don't know. I'm pretty disappointed with this because we've been looking forward to like real stasis buffs for so long, and most of these seem pretty focused on PvP. I guess, more stats for the most part are good, but like 10% withering blade projectile increases, like this Shiver Strike only being applied to PvP, like I don't know. This isn't great. I was expecting more here, and I don't think they delivered. I think some of the artifact mods will be fun, but again, there are not that many, and I don't know how they're going to play in practice. And again, the solar mods seem much better with constant scorch and ignition and stuff. The most interesting thing here is probably some of these exotic changes. Some of these definitely seem like fun. I don't know how much others will move the needle, but most of these are at least somewhat interesting. Like, I'd be curious to see, chain exploding severance enclosure, or like the really big knife damage buffs with Ophidia. Like, that could be fun. Trick sleeves. I don't know. There's some okay stuff in here. Yeah. So this is like really the only good section. And then there's a bunch of armor mod nerfs for some reason. I have not, seen what people are reacting to this on Twitter. People are like dying for something, really substantive and gameplay altering. But like, once again, we seem to have run into a position where Bungie thinks power creep has gotten too high. So here's a bunch of nerfs. Players are too survivable. Players have too easy access to abilities. Blah 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 blah. Like, and then a lot of this again seems really centered on PvP, which almost always affects PvE. And like, it's tough to like play Diablo where it's like everyone's like, this is kind of a slog. Like, I wish things were better. And then Diablo's like, here's 80 buffs to like everything in the game. Like, that's kind of like Borderlands style, but like this is like the opposite of that kind of. And I don't know. I don't find this terribly exciting, and I don't imagine that this is what most people hope to read in this giant ability tuning stasis thing. So I don't know. Maybe I'll have more thoughts on this later, but obviously tomorrow's Thanksgiving, and I will not have any videos until Monday. So thanks for watching. God, that was probably a really long video, huh? If you made it to the end, congratulations. You win 10,000 internet points and plus 10 recovery. Okay. Yeah, thanks for watching. I will talk to you guys later. Take care.